Good morning, ladies and gents. Today we're focusing again on the informational text and the following essential questions. Number 4, what's informational text really about? How does interaction with text provoke thinking and response? And number 9, what strategies and resources do readers use to figure out unknown vocabulary? We will be close reading the text today, and as we close read this section that we actually read already yesterday, we're going to be looking at something different in this first opening phase. Remember, when we close read, we read the text 3 different times. First, for what this text says, second, for how the text says it, and lastly, for why the text matters. As you read for what the text says, this time when you read it through the first time, I want you to consider the words within this piece that are challenging for you to understand. And as you focus on looking at the words the author uses when she's creating this, I want you to then follow your reading with the question, what sentence from the excerpt would you consider to be the most challenging for you in regards to your understanding because of the vocab used by the author? I want you to quote that sentence. I want you to follow that quotation with a paraphrase of that sentence in your own words, and make sure you accurately paraphrase that sentence. The whole sentence should be in your own words, and make sure you've looked up the words definitions for those challenging terms and accurately determined, based on what that whole sentence is about, what the proper definition of that challenging word should be, and use a synonym in your paraphrase of all of the words as you do that. As you read through this first phase, we'll be focusing on learning target. I think it's like 20 something. Scroll far away to get you to it. We're focusing on learning target number 25 to determine or clarify the meaning of unknown words and phrases using context clues. Using context clues, are the words that are around the text, is super important to do as we are looking through and paraphrasing sentences with challenging vocab, because words do have more than one meaning. So you might think that you know what a sentence means by looking up a word, but if you looked up the wrong meaning of that specific word, even if it says in the dictionary that, yeah, this word means whatever, you are going to have a wrong understanding and a wrong paraphrase of the sentence. So we need to use the context clues to really determine the meaning of our words. In phase 2 of the text, we're going to be rereading the text for how the text says it. As you reread this text, we're going to literally look at how the author writes this text. I want you to read through this phase, focus on the structure of the text, looking for specific text features that the author has chosen to use in this to help communicate her point of the piece. Then you're going to answer the question, what specific writing techniques does the author use in this section? How does her use of these techniques contribute to the central idea? Now, remember, we have determined the central idea, and the central idea of this piece is that Abby Sunderland's parents should not have allowed her to attempt a solo sailing journey around the world. And then you need to cite evidence to support this, the techniques that you notice that you think really do help support her central idea. Now, this is a tricky phase because we're looking at literally how the author writes to determine how it connects to what the author's saying, which is kind of a tricky component. So let's look at what this target is. It is learning target 18 to analyze the structure an author uses to organize the text by how text features contribute to the whole text, to that central idea. And in this case, that central idea, the whole text, is about why Abby's parents should not have allowed her to go on this journey that obviously ended in disaster. Now, as we do this, what you're doing is you're looking closely at the way the author organizes the information in the text and the specific way she writes it in. Text structures include things like specific word choice, headings, the order, chronological cause effect, compare, contrast, question, answer, those kinds of things. Paragraphing, the use of charts, graphics, the use of maybe dialogue in the form of, quoting other people, like we noticed when we read that news article. The use of questions or even specific punctuation marks. Any punctuation mark serves as a text feature. The author purposely used that mark for a reason. So how does the use of punctuation marks within a section, in fact, contribute to her message? Punctuation marks such as question marks, maybe the use of parentheses, any other various punctuation is done for a reason. If you can see a mark used and kind of determine, the use of that item by the author, that punctuation mark, that paragraphing structure, that overall text structure as a whole, that heading, that specific choice of words or word choice or word style, it created and added to the author's central idea. That's what you want to think about as you answer this phase. Please make sure in this phase you also cite text evidence to support your response. So you are looking at learning target number 1, to cite text evidence to support yourself. Remember, text evidence is taking a sentence from that piece and quoting it as your proof for how that claim you made as your response to the question can be supported. So make sure you're doing that in phase 2. In phase 3, we're looking for rereading the text a final time for why this text matters. As you look at this text for a final time, we're going to focus on reading it for how the author connects this event to the American culture. The question you're answering here is based on the information from the excerpt. How does the author believe that the American culture or the societal culture influenced Abby's decision to sail around the world? Cite text evidence to support your response as you're answering this phase. Remember, as we look at this phase and we're citing our text evidence, we're looking at learning target number 1 to quote evidence from the passage to support the claim that we're making in regards to how the author shows how the culture influenced the parents' decision. We're also fully focusing on learning target number 6 to analyze the interactions between individuals, events, and ideas in the text. In this case, we're looking at how society influenced the parents. So make sure that you think about that fully as you reread this text 1/3 and final time. After you do that, you will have ended the close read and you can work on your independent reading goal. Go ahead and get to work on this close read.